If you are a smaller creator, you may be wondering, do brands actually want to work with you? Is this a myth? And I am here as someone that is on the brand side who has paid creators hundreds of thousands of dollars in budget, whether it be for influencer campaigns, localized regional campaigns, UGC campaigns. I've worked with my fair share of smaller creators. And when I go into my brand's offices or I start consulting them on their influencer marketing plan, I do not disregard small creators, because here's one thing that is so important for y'all to know. Brands have different goals. The first thing I do, literally when I sign on a new brand client, is we talk about their goals. And once I kind of get to the bottom of what they really want, I'm able to then suggest a campaign or a strategy that is right for them. And that's why if you are a small creator, I think you're going to love today's video, because I'm going to go through some of the reasons that I suggest small creators for my clients. And I think that these reasons can help you understand that brand perspective and why they would want to work with you, maybe versus a really big creator. Now, this video is going to be done in a two-part series, because what I want to film next is all about understanding the expectation. Okay, so you got the job and you're now working with a brand. What are the expectations of you as a small creator? So make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications so that you can be kept up to date when that second video comes out. So because I come from the brand side and I have this experience regarding small creators, I want to be very frank with you guys, okay? And I think it's important to always be honest and transparent. When you're working with small creators, it's just more cost effective. Now, that does not mean cheap or we have to talk about getting paid small amounts. I have creators that have under 10,000 followers that are making way over $200,000 a year in brand partnerships, okay? And in content creation campaigns for their clients. So please don't misunderstand me when I talk about the cost effectiveness, but to be honest, it just is. The one thing brands often come to creators for is either paying them for influence, right? Where the creator is creating some sort of sponsored post or sponsored content, or they're coming to the creator for content creation services. Smaller creators, they just are not as expensive as huge creators, because a lot of times when it comes to coming up with your rates, there are formulas involved. And these are not plug and chunk formulas. These are multiple step math equations to come up with your rate. All my Pitching Your Brands Master Course students, you guys know this because we go over it in depth in our program. But this is something that, again, when you are a smaller creator and you have less than 10,000 followers or subscribers, just from a math perspective, obviously it is cheaper to work with you than someone that has millions and millions and millions of eyeballs or views or impressions, right? So that's just standard. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Secondly, when it comes to pricing out smaller creators, if a brand doesn't have a $1 million budget and they're considered a smaller brand, they're going to be probably trying to work with more creators that are in that smaller budget capacity. So let me explain what I mean, right? So instead of paying an influencer $40,000 for one post, they'll pay 4 small creators $10,000 for a series of posts. Again, $10,000 is still $10,000. There's money there. So it's not that you guys are getting the short end of the stick, but it is just cheaper because a brand can work with multiple creators than the cost of paying one creator $40,000, right? Now, another thing that it comes to in terms of working with small creators, and I've said this before, but this is something that, again, I'm dealing with right now with a current client, is that smaller creators tend to have a more local audience. Now, this is not always the case, but just hear me out, okay? When a creator is just getting started, oftentimes, and I don't know why, I don't know if it's the algorithm that only shows your content to people in your state or in your hometown, but I have seen smaller creators tend to have audiences from their hometown, right? At least here in the US, I have influencers in New York that are charging more than maybe influencers in the Midwest. And again, you see this just in any sort of salary or any sort of position, cities that are more expensive, we're finding that the influencers cost more there. So again, as someone that's on the brand side and putting these campaigns together, I do look at locality and region and where the creators live, because that also kind of goes into their rates. So of course, that cost-effective factor is a big driving force why brands like to work with small creators. And let's just call it what it is. It is a cost-effective solution. You can work with more of them. You can work with tons of different styles of people, right? All different ages, all different races for a $100,000 budget, right? Versus working just with 2 people. It's just a different game. The second reason a lot of my brand clients love to work with small creators is because they tend to be very niche. people get to be a little bit more lifestyle once people are obsessed with them. So I always get this on my one-on-one coachings. Like people come to me and they're like, I want to talk about everything. I want to talk about this, that, the other. And I'm always like, slow your roll. Let's strategize here. You're just getting started. I'll give you guys an example. When you're first getting started and you're super niche, people come to you because you're solving a problem for them, you're providing entertainment on a specific area or topic, and then people follow you. Once people become obsessed with you though, then you can talk about anything. And that often happens at a critical point once you go to scale. So a lot of times when we are working with small creators, they do have niche audiences. So again, let's just say I am a local snack company and I want to work with a creator. If this creator talks about snacks, but she also talks about after school activities for her kids, arts and crafts, DIY, it's very different than if I'm just working with a creator who's only talking about healthy options for kids. It's just a better fit to go with creators who are very, very niche. And I find, again, that smaller creators tend to be niche until they hit a certain level and then they go a little bit more lifestyle. That is why brands love working with small creators, because they're like, I know I'm going to get that exact person, that audience that I am looking for. And that is very important for a brand that is investing in their influencer marketing. Now, one thing that I have seen a little bit in this industry, again, just being that I have been in this space for 10 plus years on the ground with creators that have millions of followers, creators that are just getting started, I'm in the thick of it. When it becomes your job, when influencing becomes your job, you're less emotional. Like my big influencers that again are making $1 million a year or more, they are just kind of like, listen, this is work. This isn't emotional. If I got to talk about this candy brand and I don't even eat the candy brand, but they're going to pay me $50,000 for an activation. At one point, creators who are been doing this for a long time, they're less picky about the brands that they work with as long as they're getting paid. So let me try to explain this a little bit better. When creators are first starting out, they're really excited about working with brands and they have these dream brands. My bigger creators are like, who's paying me? I don't want to do free stuff. I'm not trying to do the whack, free, gifted, none of that. They're not as emotional with their choices. This is a business for them. And it's not to say that they're going to endorse everything, because of course not. But we're seeing that as you get bigger, there are obviously more promotions on your page, right? So if you as a brand find someone that's just getting started and they're fresh and they haven't had a lot of brand partnerships, there's a lot of enthusiasm around the sponsored posts, right? They're so excited. They go above and beyond. They over deliver. They're just kind of easier to work with because they're so happy for the opportunity. And again, this is just me being 100 with you guys. And it's not to say that all big influencers are no, sorry, they're over it. But they come to it with a different professionalism, as they should, because they've been doing this forever and they have very strong boundaries. Whereas again, smaller creators, brands may want to work with them because they're going to really be pumped about this partnership, especially if they haven't had many partnerships in the past. Another thing that I think is just tried and true, and this is just what it is, there's math around this, there's proven data around this, is that as you grow, your engagement gets lower. I don't know why, Kim Kardashian probably has bajillion followers by now, and if you look at her engagement rate, it's probably very low. Whereas sometimes you see these small creators that have 2,000 followers, 3,000 followers, and they have 50% engagement or something insane, right? So I think brands are also very aware of this now. In the beginning, they used to just be really excited about big numbers and followers and all of that. But we are seeing now that brands are a little bit less interested in follower count, but of course interested in more things like their niche, their result, higher engagement rates. All of that goes into play when a brand is making a decision. Now, another thing I've noticed, and again, this is just very brand side advice today on this channel, because I'm literally working with a client on putting together their influencer marketing plan. Something I realized about just small creators in general is that they may be more open to trying out of the box solutions or just different things because they're not a public figure yet. So when you're a public figure, obviously there's certain types of content that you may not want to participate in, or I don't know, let's just say it's jumping in the pool with your product or something crazy or viral-esque. Maybe that new creator is more open to trying and open to being flexible around content and creative and just hungry. There's this level of hunger that's associated with new creators. And I think brands definitely see that. I know I was working with a creator recently, and it was actually on a YouTube campaign, and I found that this creator was very, very small in subscriber count, but she had really great views and she was ranking for certain keywords that I knew my client wanted to also rank for. So when it comes to SEO and like optimizing and making sure that you're like found, smaller creators, I have found, at least the ones on YouTube, when I look up a keyword for a certain topic and that creator populates, I don't care if they're big or small, as long as they're populating for that keyword, because that's the type of campaign I'm putting together. We're seeing that, small creators are still making sure there's keywords in their headlines, right? They're making sure there's keywords in their YouTube description. Like all of that was, again, big creators don't have to do that because they're big. They're going to really look into creators that are meticulous about making sure their content is optimized. So these are just a few things that I have learned from working with small creators and why we love it and why I recommend it to my brand partners. Of course, if it makes sense, always depends on the goals of my client and their campaigns. But if you are a small creator out there, please do not get discouraged because there is space for everyone. This is a massive industry. There's so much potential. There's so many brands that need you and want to work with you, especially in the local market. So do not get discouraged. Just go out there and pitch, pitch, pitch. And if you need help pitching to brands, you know that I host live trainings, which are free. And we literally go over that step-by-step process of how to pitch to brands, how to get those paid brand deals. So if you are a new creator and you are ready to get into the arena, ready to get dirty, ready to start pitching, make sure you sign up to my next free live training where you're going to come and learn so much about all things brand partnerships. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like it so that I know that this is the type of stuff you want me to make content on. And remember, stick around because the next video I'm going to film right after this is all about understanding the expectation. Because once you get the job as a small creator, you can't drop the ball. There are expectations of you, and that's what we're going to go over in the next video. So stick around to make sure you can see that.